Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Books and Tea with Katie. I'm your host, Katie Upton, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of mythology and exploring the powerful women who have left their mark on stories throughout time. Grab your favorite tea, get comfy, and let's embark on this mythological expedition together. But first, I have to note that I am there's a lot of construction noise going on in the background, so if you hear something, I do apologize. I've done my best, but it is what it is. So in this episode, we're focusing on strong female figures in mythology, particularly looking at the Norse goddess Freyja, although I'll go over a couple others. But before we get into her story, let's talk about the significance of women in mythology and what they represent. Throughout various cultures, women in mythology, they often embody the negative traits. We often see more negative traits than we do positive. Traits like being deceitful, shameful, fragile, weak, a menace to man. But what we, again, don't often focus on is their strength, their wisdom, resilience, and intelligence. They break boundaries and defy expectations, representing not only what some would call the divine feminine, but also complexities of human experiences. From warriors and leaders, and then we have wise goddesses, they're mystical beings. These characters, they serve as symbols of empowerment and inspiration, and that's what I like to focus on when writing. I think too often we see the negative in females, even in society, so especially in mythology, they're always doing something mischievous or lascivious or something like that, causing problems. And I think the gods cause problems too. So we also see their more positive traits, and people tend to latch on to more positive traits. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at the good and the bad, as you say, because everybody has, traits that are perceived as more positive than negative, and traits that are more negative than positive. So I like to focus on, in my writing, a well-rounded character, and my main protagonists tend to be female. I like to focus on the more positive and rounding it out with negative. However, today it's about the positive. Let's shine a light then on Freyja, a renowned figure in Norse mythology, and most people have probably heard of her. She is not just a goddess of love, fertility, and beauty. She's also associated with war and death, making her a multifaceted character. I like that. Freyja is one of the most prominent goddesses in the Norse pantheon. She is of the Vanir tribe of deities, known for her strength, independence, and fierce loyalty. But on the flip side, I'll throw that in, she's greedy, perceived as greedy and lustful. She travels the world in search of her lost husband, weeping supposedly tears of gold, much like the mythological Aphrodite and Isis goddesses. Freyja, seeing pigs as sacred, is often riding a boar with golden bristles, and at times she's depicted riding a chariot pulled by two cats. Yes, cats. This imagery highlights her connection to Mother Nature, and it displays her nurturing side. But don't let that fool you, because Freyja is a warrior at heart. In battles, she chooses half of the slain warriors to reside with her in her hall, Folkvanger, which is reportedly a meadow or field where these warriors wander and they live after death. While Odin, which most people know who Odin is, the Norse god, takes the other half of the warriors to Valhalla. Some sources suggest Freyja gets to pick first, while others suggest Odin takes the leaders. Whomever is correct, this still portrays Freyja as a powerful goddess. I mean, there's only two picking, right? You've got Odin, who's the top dog, and then you've got Freyja. And if Freyja gets to pick first, that's pretty powerful. So this power to choose who goes to where in the afterlife illustrates her authority, and it depicts her influence among the gods. Also, about the cats, I wonder too, I haven't looked this up, but I do wonder about if this is why women like the cat ladies, right? If women are depicted, they're cat ladies because of Freyja and her cats. I don't know. I'm just tossing that out there. One of the most fascinating aspects of Freyja is her association with the goddess of love and fertility. Excuse me. For a lot of people, she represents love's complexities. It's not just about the romance, but it's about the passion and desire and even the heartaches that come with them, like her longing for her lost spouse. In some myths, she is portrayed as a figure who experiences deep longing and loss, and showing that even powerful beings can be vulnerable. In others, she's promiscuous, but in the end, Freyja is love, plain and simple. Now let's go into some more specific myths about Freyja that illustrate her strength and complexity. One popular tale involves her quest to, as I mentioned, retrieve her husband Urd, who has disappeared. Freyja is determined to find him, and she goes to all lengths to find him, and this shows resilience and it shows love, and it's a different kind of strength. It's the strength of a heart that refuses to give up. I mean, people have died over heartbreak, so she didn't. She kept going. Another myth that highlights Freyja's power is her involvement with a magical necklace. Brøssingen, I believe is how you say it. The story goes, Freyja offered an enormous amount of money in silver and gold for this necklace. It's crafted by the dwarves. Some say it's synonymous with Freyja, to Freyja, like Thor's hammer Mjolnir is to Thor, or Thor. To obtain it, she had to supposedly spend a night with each of the 4 dwarves who crafted it. Upon doing so, she wore it then from that point on and never took it off, again being synonymous with her. There was one myth that said Loki stole it upon Odin's bidding, and she wakes up and she sees that it's gone. Something about Odin being like a flea or something, and going in the dead of night and getting the clasp off and biting her so she can turn over so he can get to the clasp in the back and something like that. But he gives it to Odin. She wakes up, realizes, hey, this is Odin. She confronts him, and he does give it back, but only if she uses her magic to spell 2 kings to battle for eternity. So, I mean, there was something in it for him. Freyja's necklace, again, is synonymous to Thor, or Thor, and his hammer. One is not without the other, and it's the same with this necklace and also her staff, because she casts spells. Freyja is known to teach the other gods about Sather, the ability for prophecy and to cast spells against or for people. These tales raise interesting questions about desire, agency, and the lengths one will go for something precious. Freyja's stories remind us that powerful women are often depicted in roles that challenge traditional expectations. They navigate the complexities of their identities, balancing love, power, and independence. In many ways, Freyja embodies the struggles that many women face today in asserting their strength, while also simultaneously embracing their own vulnerability. Now, let's talk about some other strong women from mythology around the world briefly. For instance, in Greek mythology, we have Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare. She's known for strategic thinking and her intelligence. She often guides heroes on their quests. She's a protectress, a practical reasoner, and Zeus's favorite child. Similarly, in Egyptian mythology, we have Isis, the goddess Isis. She is associated with the dead and helps those in the afterlife. But she also represents motherhood, magic. She's a healer, and she represents fertility, helping in showcasing another dimension of feminine strength. Isis, while the traditional wife, did use her wits to protect her husband and son. The story goes that she married Osiris, yes, her brother, king of Egypt, taught women to weave, bake, brew beer, while supporting her husband. Seth, their brother, became jealous of Osiris and trapped him in a coffin, tossed him into the Nile. Goddess Isis, at the time, his wife Isis, searched everywhere until finding his body, bringing it back from Byblos to Egypt. Upon finding his body, though, his brother Seth cut Osiris's body up and scattered the pieces far and wide. Isis changed into a bird because that's another thing she can change into, retrieved all the pieces of her husband, and using her powers, she made him whole again. But he wasn't alive. He was a mummy. Wasn't really dead at the time, I guess. I mean, he was a mummy. 9 months later, she bore their son, Horus. Osiris then retreated to the underworld, ruling over the dead, king of the dead. And then Isis kept her son alive in the marshes, protecting Horus and to grow up and avenge his father and take the throne again. So we see a strong woman willing to risk absolutely everything for those that she loved. But it's not only love she possessed. This goddess possessed strength, wit, and power. And that's something to remember about all these goddesses, not just their vices, which mythology likes to harp on. It's their good traits too. The stories of these powerful women remind us the myths that celebrate female strength and resilience across cultures. This is a common theme. They inspire us to embrace our own power, to navigate our own challenges with grace, and to stand up for others and for ourselves to speak up. As we wrap up today's episode, I encourage you to reflect on these powerful women and the powerful women in your own life and the stories that inspire you. Whether it's a figure from mythology, from literature, or from your personal experience, these narratives, they shape our understanding of what strength and resilience are. thank you for joining me today on this expedition of strong women in mythology. I do hope you enjoy learning about Freyja and her remarkable journey, as well as the stories of just a couple others, but they're powerful women from around the world. If you like today's episode, please consider sharing it with your friends or leaving a review. Your support means the world because I can continue to do this, and I just love it. Until next time, keep reading, keep sipping your tea, and keep celebrating the incredible strength of women throughout history. Take care, everyone.